Okay, Moonies, let me give you a little background. I left Sanctuary Church and I gave a synopsis of my realizations after leaving it in a video that did pretty well for my scale. It did 2,600 views, and I heard from the community that it caused a buzz. And I attribute the success of that video to how in the pocket the topics were for what you, the end user or market, needed. You are curious about certain things, and you arrive at your curiosities through a certain process. My process is different. I've always been curious about the truth, whereas it seems the majority of you are curious about the truth after things start becoming painful. So my experience with you, the general community, is you can roll your eyes, blow me off, or people like me off as being too studious and unrealistically studious. It's just, and then you start to pay attention when it becomes painful. If you had resisted the urge to quit after it become painful. I feel really bad about that. I feel the way an uncle or older brother might feel if you were trying to teach your younger brother the ins and outs of basketball, and they just quit because they can't get the ball in the hoop. And internally, as a man, I have been crying about you. I had been internally really upset on your behalf, and I'll tell you why. The best answer for that question is, why do I care? Because you're my body. We have to intermarry. We have to assist each other at the point of blessing to keep our blood lineages going. It's not just our blood lineages. If we don't uphold the ownership of the lineage through multiple generations, then not only is it our lineage that fails, it is the lineage of God. So we are in co-ownership of God's lineage together. Anything under that, and there's nothing realistic going on. And that just may be the case because a lot of you are more aligned in the way you identify yourself through your fascinations, through your commentary, through what you ponder every day. You more identify with the church. And that's the root of the problem. You guys are having, and I'm saying people who primarily identify themselves with the church, you guys are having problems. So I've been living through a 28-year-old frustration because my freshest impression of True Father was the day that he came back from Korea and gave a sermon about the end of the church era. And then he said to me, you understand very well. And so you guys have been in a 28-year prolongation of the church, okay? Where the church hasn't been backed by merit of age and providence. In other words, God's providence has needs, and the people that are fulfilling those needs get the oil, get the benefit, get the extra spirit world boost. And because you held on to the church when the church era was declared over, you never bothered to study post-church structure, post-church shape, post-church precepts, post-church dynamics, which are very closely related to original unfallen world dynamics. Like you don't bother to like imagine a world that didn't have a church, and that fundamentally put you for 28 years out of sync, and you've been decimated. When 87% of your BCs your children have left. Our children, really. I can say our children because I'm trying to intermarry with you, and likewise, you want to intermarry with people who own what? Own a love for the church, or own a love for God's original hope? Which one? Because I want to intermarry, because I want to put my future children, grandchildren in the hands of people who own God's original hope. Because owning the church is not, can't hold a candle to the former. That idea, okay, but you have to be a thinker to actually discern that. And a lot of you guys, your collective conversation is devoid of depth of thinking. And so I left. I don't know if I've gone off on a tangent. Put it in the comments where I went off on a tangent and I didn't get back to an idea that I started talking about. It happens a lot. But I left. I left the church because the church was not the church. The church was some creature or something that had the shape of a former tool that God was using. But God had put that tool away and picked up new tools. And we clung to something that has no energy in it anymore. It doesn't have any providential energy in it. In other words, if God puts his hands on it to start to do stuff, then it's got providential energy in it. But when God put it down, the reason you're decimated. I know 87 is not 90. Decimation is loss of 90%. You know, I'm pretty technical, but you see, you're decimated fundamentally because you're clinging to something that had been put back in the toolbox, or you know, God has no use for it. Now, all over the world, you've got decentralized Buddhists. Even you've got decentralized currencies. You've got people have gone back to tribe like we should have. Okay, and I don't want to go into that, but you've been decimated because you clung to the church. Father even gave a warning to not feel bad about the loss of the church, and you're intellectually out of sync because you're not studying what it means to be out of church. Listen, the reason why I'm talking to you, I have a hard time talking. One, I have a hard time talking to you. Two, something finally got me to talk to you. So briefly, I have a hard time talking to you because sometimes you're legalistic. Your syntax, okay, let's say like two computer program languages. Both do a job, but they don't talk well together because of syntactical differences. So I have a completely different syntax, okay? I was a post-church, unchurched Christian, and there's a language to protecting oneself in an unchurched world. I came as fundamentally an unchurched Christian, which means I had to own my faith. I didn't do it socially. A lot of you do it socially. I'm sorry for you, because when the upheaval comes, you can't be socially bound. Socially bound means you become the old wineskin, and then you can't move with the providence. So I didn't have that problem, but I do know that I need you, and I know that God needs you, but God needs something more than you. Okay, there's a Bible verse where it says, when, you know, we are of Israel, and Jesus said God could raise up children from the rocks, right? So in other words, Israel is really identified not by, you know, the external genealogy that can be written on a paper, but the internal school of thought genealogy of the belief system of the people, or the understanding of the people, or the hierarchy of values that they subscribe to. If you subscribe to the same hierarchy of values with God, then God is going to you're going to make God-like decisions at moments of truth or critical moments that God would make if he was actually in your body, making those decisions, because you subscribe to the same hierarchy of values. So listen, I know I'm all over the place, but at least this, you guys are hard to talk to because we have a different syntax. I break this stuff down in a way that I confirm to be useful. I don't think you even evaluate your approach to truth. When I look at you guys are always leaning on each other like emotional crutches, giving each other the burden of proof to show the love that you feel proud of. Like, show me our standard of love, right? And you get on each other's case for veering off the demonstration of his so-called like standard of love. So if I pick a fight with you, which I've done many times, I've picked fights with you for the purpose of jarring you out of this cruise control thing, where you'll always reaffirm like love. Like, this is a big problem. You shouldn't need to check my love card if you're filled with love, because you're not checking my love card from the point of view of you're checking my love card from the point of view of being better than in the area of love. And a lot of you don't even see that there is love in guidance, or there's love in accuracy. Okay, if you don't put your students up on game, and let's say you're a boxing teacher and you don't tell them it's not dip to the left or feint to the left, it's feint to the left and down, like, you know, like, there are details. If you don't tell him, he's going to go and get knocked out because he didn't slip the punch in the exact way that would have actually made the difference for him, because he's not listening to details. So if you're a coach and you're saying, no, it's not like this, it's this added detail, then your perfection as a coach cannot go to your protege, your student, your mentee, right? It can't be transited from you to your student because of the coarseness of your conversation. It's not fine enough. Okay, so we've had problems with syntax. I curse. You guys don't forgive me for cursing, even though Father cursed. So that's an asymmetry. I got reasons to curse. I'll talk about it, but we've had these problems with syntax. So this is why it's hard to find a way to approach you. Plus, I own the lineage, and you think that as well as I own the lineage and understand the lineage, because your hierarchy of values is opposite. Let me tell it to you like this. I would rather hang out with a person that had full ownership of the lineage, but made me embarrassed as a church member. Like, if that person, I couldn't use that person to show the pride of the church, okay? And I felt ashamed in front of the rest of the religions because of this person. But this person knew what the lineage actually is. I would pick that person because at a time where people are, very skittish, very unsure about really what the contents of the lineage are, I need that person's ministry. I need that person's reflections. I need to cross-fertilize with that person to get strong at a time when ownership is a burgeoning thing in the fourth Adam's realm. I would find value, and do find value, and find friends among people who are trying to have a conversation about the ownership of lineage, okay? I would pick that person way more. But if my hierarchy of values was upside down, I might think I want to hang out with people that show the world that my religious choice was the honorable one. You have a higher priority. It's above what I believe God's higher priority is, lineage. So you're holding something over lineage, and that's why we're out of sync. So I left you a long time ago. I left the church in 2012. But as you can see, I have not left the mind. I'm still in the realm of resonance with God and True Father. And I am lamenting the fact that you are not joining me on the journey to the realm of fourth Adam, or joining Father in the realm of fourth Adam. If I tell you what the problem is, you don't even know. Father said it's the pass. Okay, treacherous mountain pass, Donner Pass. When you go from Reno to Sacramento, you have to go through the historically treacherous path called Donner Pass. I was a trucker for a little while. You had to put chains. Half of the year, you had to carry chains to chain up your tires because it's so treacherous just to get over Donner Pass as a trucker. Half of the year. It starts snowing earlier, and it remains snowing later than everything else in the lowlands. And the cops will give you a ticket as a trucker if you're not carrying the chain. Sometimes they could have a dragnet to check to see if you had the chains between these certain months. That's how freaking treacherous the pass is. Father said, we have a pass. You're not studying the past, okay? The past is a fight. I would love to talk to you about the 28 years that I learned about the treacherous things between the Restoration era and the era after Restoration. It is a past. The reason why you're being decimated is because things that I've come to predict exist as treacherous points along the path, you're completely blindsided by those things. That's how much your social reasons for being in the church are crippling you. It's not like there isn't guidance about getting through these 28 years. You're just not paying attention to them because of your hierarchy of values. Your leader's hierarchy of values, instead of lineage being at the top of their hierarchy of values, some of them have this intervening value that is above lineage and issues like that. And that is the vain glory of leadership. That is their false god. That is the top of their particular list of hierarchy of values. What made me, so we've had this syntactical misalignment. The second thing, why I broke this silence between you and me. I broke this silence between you and me. Feel free to download this video and chop it up, send it to your friends, because I know some of you are in turmoil. But if you treat me like garbage and you don't even shop this video around, and you heard how much sense I was making, and you're delinquent. You are delinquent. Your whole community, most of it is devoid of real clarity and answers. I can tell you this. I can swear to you this on Father, because he said, I understand very well. How many of you have Father say that? I understand very well. Therefore, if you pass up the opportunity to share this video, you're delinquent. I don't even need the credit. You can download the video so that people can't find my channel. I don't care. But the contents of this video, I have not talked to you for reasons. But now I'm talking to you for a reason. And here it is. I heard that many leaders are excommunicated from the church. And I imagine some of them are in turmoil. I wish you had the point of view that I have so that you wouldn't be in turmoil. Here's the answer for them. It means absolutely nothing to be excommunicated from an entity that was put away by God. In other words, it was dismantled by God as early as 1997. Or some people will say Father actually started to put forth the idea that the church sign, or that the church era is over, as early as 95 and 94. Okay? I'm not sure about the declarations of 95 and 94, but I know that my first time seeing Father in the same room was May 1st, 1997, and he was talking about the end of the church era. My second time was May 4th, 3 days later, where he was talking about the essence of Family Federation. It's not an organization. It is the critical formula for the realm of resonance for the era after church. It is not the organization that became Family Federation. That is a cheap knockoff of an internal thing. So why did I call you? Because I pity the people that were excommunicated and the turmoil, the social turmoil around that bullshit declaration. An entity that does not exist in God's eye anymore as relevant, their quote unquote excommunication means absolutely nothing. Like I say, it doesn't mean a goddamn thing. Okay, so I wish peace upon those people who were excommunicated. I wish also to say to those leaders, if you were in turmoil, it's because you probably, when you find out that there is an era after church, a lot of people might have the urge to volunteer with great enthusiasm so that they could fight for great vainglory of building a new world. It is not to the glory of the leaders of that new world that we should build. It is to the glory of God. It is actually to the satisfaction and inner peace of God that he might finally get what he wants. That's it. That should motivate us. But to get credit for being the leaders of the new school, there was a rap group called Leaders of the New School. But to get credit, the vainglory, it reminds me of Marius in Les Mis. It reminds me of Marius and his friends trying to create a new regime, but so enamored with the idea of vainglory that they miss the details and they get killed. That's what's happening to so either you leave the church, you not only have to leave the church, you also have to, in the past, one of the treacherous things is your leaders wanting to hoard the newness of the new era for themselves. They still have leaderitis even though they're leaving the church. This is not a new idea, please understand. This is an idea as old as Tolkien putting in the end of Lord of the Rings. The idea that I'm talking about, the vainglory, the religious vanity, that some leaders will so they're not at the top of the church pyramid anymore, and when there is a new structure, they still have pyramiditis and they want to be at the top of the new pyramid. So some of them want to set up shop and become the new leader of the era after church. But this desire to be at the top of the new pyramid is why Lucifer was motivated. He wanted to have the same central position in human society that existed in the angelic world. The human society was the new system, and he wanted to be at the top of it because he had pyramiditis. He wants to be at the top of the pyramid. That's one of the treacherous things, which explains why you have splintering at this time. I'm telling you, you need to be in this conversation. I started a channel called Fourth Adam Settlement Talks so that we could discuss the details of the treacherous past. It is a necessary treacherous path. It filters out children of God from the background. It's necessary. I've already given you a lot of cliff notes in this video, okay? But you guys are not having the right conversation. I need to intermarry with you. God needs to intermarry with you. And Satan has invaded the church, and you're being decimated, and Satan is using specific tactics against you, and you are the fish in the barrel. You're like fish in the barrel. You're being shot. And you don't need to be like ignoring me. If you ignore me because he's too tedious, he's too detailed. At the end of the earth, can't you just, I don't know, pull the ripcord and start up the engine of your mind again? Okay? He's coming for your most precious things. He's already taken 87% of your most precious fruit. Put away whatever little voice of scrutiny you have that causes you to disqualify me. My long-windedness, my syntax, cursing, my approach. Whatever it is, grow up. You need to take this. You are in big trouble, and you're like in a dark room and somebody's slapping the shit out of you, and you got a gun and you don't know where to point to squeeze the trigger. You don't know how to get back at your enemy. You don't know how to neutralize. You don't know how to even block the next smack. And I'm worried for you because you're my body. I left the church, but you're still my body. I don't understand if you're so filled with concern for the church, you're a fool. God doesn't care about the church. The church wasn't a part of the garden or the original world. It was a medicating thing. It was just for medication because of a sickness. We're not supposed to be living for the perpetual world of sickness, endorsing a perpetual world of sickness by keeping the church open. The byproduct of keeping the church alive is to keep the sickness alive. It's like the pharmaceutical companies. They can't stay in business if there aren't sick people.